As you may already know, Minecraft is a relatively popular video game, with the game having sold a modest 300 million units as of October 2023, according to Zachary Body from Windows Central. Because of the game's moderate success, it has received a fair amount of merchandise, such as toys, books, clothing, and even a rather unsettling looking manga. This has kept me up at night since I found out about it, so now it'll keep you up as well. Anyways, back in 2015, one such piece of merchandise released was Minecraft the card game. I received my copy the following year as a birthday present from my twin sister alongside Terraria for the 3DS. Between both of those games, me and my sister had a lot of fun that weekend. Our birthday was on a Friday that year. But while I've played Terraria a lot over the years, I haven't touched Minecraft the card game at all since the weeks following our birthday. That was until about 2 months ago, where I sat down and played the game with a good friend of mine. Since then, I've been thinking about the game on and off again. Because of this, I want to share my thoughts on the game. Hello everybody, Richard Roque here, and today I'm going to explain how to play Minecraft the card game, as well as what I think of it. Without further ado, let's get right into this. In Minecraft the card game, players must compete to gather resources and craft tools to score points. Whoever hits the point goal first, which is dependent on the number of players, wins the game. The game comes with 100 cards, 25 of which are craft cards, with the remaining 75 being resource cards. The game also includes 4 different colored card stands, whose function will be explained later. To set up, the resource cards are shuffled together and divided into 5 15-card piles, with the top card on each pile being placed face up. The craft cards are then shuffled together and divided into 4 piles of 6 cards each. You will have a single craft card remaining after making the stacks. This card is simply set aside and will not be used in the game. Each player receives a card stand before the start of the game. I really like how the stands are modeled after blocks from the video game. It's a fun little detail that helps to sell that this is indeed a Minecraft card game. I also like how all the cards feature the old textures for all of the items and resources present in the game. Sure, this is a result of the card game being released about 4 years before Mojang updated a lot of the textures, but regardless, this adds a nice nostalgia factor to the card game for us older fans of Minecraft. Anyways, once you've set up the game and have decided the turn order, it is time to play. During your turn, you may perform 2 actions. There are 3 different kinds of actions to choose from. These actions are mine, craft, and reserve. When you mine, you may draw a card from a resource pile and place it face up in front of you. There are 6 different usable resources that you can draw. These include wood, stone, iron, gold, diamond, and wild cards, which can represent any of the previously mentioned materials that you desire. Each resource card has a number on it, indicating how many of that specific resource it is worth. For example, a stone card with the number 2 on it is worth 2 stone, whereas a stone card with a 1 or a 3 printed on it is worth 1 stone and 3 stone respectively. When crafting, you spend your accumulated resources to either craft a tool from the top of one of the craft piles or from your reserve. The number printed on the craft card indicates the amount of points that the tool is worth. However many resources are needed in order to craft a tool can be determined by looking at the craft card of the tool that you want. For example, this gold pickaxe requires 3 gold and 2 wood in order to craft it. So you need to spend resource cards worth a total of at least 3 gold and 2 wood in order to craft it. Once you spend the necessary resource cards to craft a tool, those resources are put into a discard pile until one of the resource piles runs out, or they will be shuffled into a new 15-card pile and placed back into the game. It is important to note that if necessary, players can spend more resources than needed to craft a tool, but they will not get the extra resources back. Going back to the gold pickaxe example, say that you had a card worth 2 wood and only 2 gold cards worth 2 gold each. You can spend both gold cards to cover the cost for the tool, but you will have to lose out on 1 gold if you do this. You should also know that each individual wildcard resource can only be used to stand in for one type of resource when crafting a tool. For the gold pickaxe, you may decide to use a wild card worth 1 resource to cover 1 gold, a gold card worth 2 gold, and a wood card worth 2 wood. Or you could also use a wild card worth 2 resources to cover for the wood, and another wild card worth 3 resources to cover for the gold. Before we move on, I would like to take this time in the review to mention how much I like how the front of the craft cards are a top-down view of the crafting table, while the reverse sides of these cards are designed to be reminiscent of the inventory and crafting screens in-game. Just another neat little design choice that demonstrates how much effort was put into creating this card game. Anyways, reserving a card allows for you to take a craft card from the top of one of the craft piles and save it for later when you want to craft it. This is done by picking a craft card and placing it in your card holder. When it is your turn, you may use one of your actions to craft the tool that you have in reserve. You can only have 1 craft card in reserve at a time. If you want to reserve another craft card, you must first craft the card that you have in reserve. This mechanic is a really fun one, as you can use it to either ensure that you get the tool that you want, or you can use it to screw over an opponent by reserving the tool that they wanted. It is also important to note that when performing your actions, you may either perform 2 different actions or the same action twice. For example, on your turn you may decide to craft a tool for your first action and reserve another tool for later using your second action, keeping it from falling into your opponent's hands. Or, you could instead choose to use both of your actions to mine 2 resources on your turn, allowing you to net more resources towards the tool or tools that you want to craft faster, while also potentially throwing a wrench in an opponent's plans. All in all, I like the 2-action turn structure, as it forces you to choose between getting greedy and focusing on accomplishing your goals, or playing a bit more defensively and using one or both of your actions to prevent an opponent from getting the upper hand, thus keeping the game interesting. While every turn plays out with the 2-action turn structure and the strategy that it brings, there are a few more wrinkles to the game that can spice up a turn and keep players engaged. For example, when you go to mine for resources, you have a chance to draw either a creeper or a TNT card. If you draw a TNT card from a resource pile, you get to draw a resource from every other pile. You will then pick 2 resources to keep and then discard the TNT as well as the other 2 resource cards that you drew. This is great because it lets you get 2 resources for the price of 1 action. If you draw a creeper card, all players must discard 1 resource card of their choice. That is, unless a player decides to use a sword that they crafted to negate the effects of the creeper. Speaking of tools, not only do you earn points for crafting them, but you also get single-use abilities from them, allowing for you to potentially turn the tide in your favor. The different abilities are as follows. Swords allow you to cancel out the effects of a creeper card on yourself. Pickaxes allow for you to take an extra action on your turn. Axes can be used as 2 wood resources when crafting. Shovels can be used to force your opponent to take 1 less action on their turn. And hoes allow for you to collect the top card off of each resource pile. After using a tool ability, you must flip it over to indicate that it has been used. Something else that's cool about tool abilities is that using one doesn't count as an action. Because of this, as well as the fact that the rules don't say that you can't use multiple abilities in a turn, you can do some goofy stuff. Some of this goofy stuff includes turning your 2-action turn into a 5-action turn using 3 pickaxes, forcing an opponent to skip their turn by using 2 shovels, using 4 hoes to net yourself 20 resources in a single turn, etc. My only real complaint about the game is that the rules don't cover some of the rarer card interactions in the game. For example, when using a hoe, you may draw a TNT card, bringing up the question of whether you should get to keep the other resources you drew and then draw for the TNT, or if the resources you just drew with the hoe count as the resources you would have drawn for the TNT. There's also the possibility of drawing multiple TNT cards at once, which could lead to questions on whether the TNT can be one of the cards that you discard, ignoring the effects of it, or if that TNT triggers after the first one is resolved. These are instances that can easily be solved by you and the other player or players coming to an agreement on how the situation should be handled. However, it is kind of weird that this is the only real blemish on what is otherwise a really well-made card game. All in all, I believe that Minecraft the card game is a great card game adaptation of the beloved block building game. Its mechanics, while simple, are a lot of fun to engage with, and are thematically appropriate for something based off of Minecraft. Combine this with the fact that you can easily find copies of the game online selling for between $10 and $20, and you have yourself an enjoyable tabletop gaming experience that I recommend if you are at all curious about trying the game for yourself. This is Richard Rogue, signing off. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, everybody.